1, right? Bob's at 4:30.
Yep.
Welcome, everybody. All right, lots happened in the past week. The subcommittee met with Tim and Neil, and Tim Laborsley, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, gave us several different potential ways that we could cost save on the renovations. And what ended up happening is many of these changes, like move this person or minimize the amount of renovations over here, all those different ways of looking at it didn't really give us enough of a savings to say, yeah, let's do it. There were minuscule savings. So it came down to 3 options, which we kind of agreed to present to you guys and then to the select board if you approve, which I'm going to hand over to Tim to talk about.
Yep.
You have a copy?
Copy of the presentation. So the first page past the title essentially has the first quote unquote option, which we've seen before, which is just the reconciled estimate. So doing exactly what we got out of the programming and the schematic design. So this is with just corrective measures.
Wait, and this also has Neil's final numbers in it.
At the end of this.
So this 11,000.
So if you go to
the last
the
page.
end of this, and maybe that's the one you want to go to, which is page 7. And then I can just run through what all these mean and what all the 3 options are. So you should have a page that looks like this. What you're looking for.
This one?
Nope, page 7. And Neil can go
Looks
in
like
more
this one?
detail. Yep, yep.
Oh, I see.
That's
okay.
the summary. And then if we need to go in more detail, we can on some of this.
So the 11.5
So
is,
the 11.5 is construction. Total project budget with soft costs, Neil developed, is 14.4 for that option.
and that's everything. That's everything.
That's
that
doing all the work, no VE. Okay. The second option, construction cost is 9.9. Total project budget is 12.6. That's doing the VE we've discussed, which is minimizing the internal partitions, reducing the total amount of paving that we're doing on the site, reducing overall number of windows, probably forgetting things on my list, so I'm going to go back. Pulling out movable partitions, reducing the amount of plaster skim coat, reducing the amount of ceramic tile, reducing refrigerant and condensate piping, which we work with the engineers to do, pulling out landscaping, and reducing number of door operators, and changing out the gym floor from gym floor to VCT instead of an athletic version. And eliminating windows, the upper transom windows that you have in the gym as well. So
but this is still renovating and keeping
the
everything.
entire space we've discussed.
It's just less
so
fine tuning.
But to be clear, it's just renovating the 22,000.
The 22.
Right.
Plus or minus
Right.
square foot
The 22.
that is intended to be occupied.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, except for the abatement.
No.
Still just abating.
Just
this.
abating that side.
So leaving the other side completely untouched.
Correct.
Yeah, not, so we'd have to litigate that at some point. I think.
Yes.
But the cost is so high as it is.
Right.
Okay. And then our final option, essentially construction costs at 8.1, total project budget at 10.6. That incorporates the VE that we've already encapsulated, but only does the full project in the area of the town offices. On the cafeteria, gym, and COA part, we only do the abatement and the window and door replacement. So essentially it would leave you a blank slate to come back to later. So then you have essentially the 3 options. Your full all in 14.4, the value engineered option for the entire of the 22,000 square feet at 12.6, and then to pull back just to focus on the offices at 10.6.
What's the square footage of, the third one?
Third one, 12,900.
Half the square footage, that's it?
So the full square footage.
Is 22,380.
Yes, thank you.
So we would still, so if we, the third option would still be doing all the abatement for the area, the COA, the gym.
Correct.
that. We just wouldn't be finishing it out.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's prepping it for future.
For future.
The one thing I want to make sure everyone knows, though, to keep in mind is the only time you're ever going to be able to fill and fit out that portion for the roughly 2 million that the difference is today is if it's part of this project. It's very unlikely, I would say almost near impossible, that if you do it at a later date,
We get
that you get it for that cost.
it'd be much more.
Yes.
Because that's also what they explained last time, that doesn't include sprinkler systems or anything, that is
Correct.
just gonna be capped off.
You've got the capacity for it, but it's capped off.
I know, but at the same time, it's the funding.
I know, no, I know.
That's why him and hard the whole entire time.
Oh, we did a lot of that.
That's depressing. But we need the building, so it's just a matter
Well, it's
of,
depressing in that costs, first of all, costs have gone up in the 2 years since we did our original.
right,
There's things in the building that we could not have foreseen because we didn't have money to do a study on the electrical work, on the plumbing, so on and so forth.
yep,
So it's still way cheaper than building new.
right,
Mhm.
and getting more square footage too,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
that's the biggie.
So
Before you guys got here, Neil and I were just small talking, and he said roughly, you're looking at $900 to $1,000 a square foot to build new. That's not leveling the old building, or getting rid of it or anything. So for 22,000 square feet, you're probably looking at roughly $22 million
Just for the building itself.
to build a new one at
Yeah.
22,000 square feet.
Well, and the other thing which came up in one of my project meetings earlier, a different project, earlier today, is who knows where that number's gonna fall unless you were factoring that in with tariffs.
Right, no, absolutely.
Because we already have some of that happening in another one of my projects where, granted, thankfully, all it is gutters, but they're up
Right,
a lot.
yeah,
Thankfully for my project, it only hit it a couple $100, but still, all metal is starting to do that, and pretty much every supplier is starting to do that on the metals side, at least at this point.
Scars of COVID are still there.
now just looking at the budgets that Neil presented to get to those numbers, the $308,000 for furniture, is that literally furniture?
So this is a bit of a change from the last time that we met with you folks. I consulted with someone else, Tim, I don't know whether you can vouch for this or not. We replugged the furniture line at $14 a square foot, assuming that we would be providing new furniture for the whole building. I recognize that's not perhaps what the intention of the committee is, but the incremental cost of $100,000 or $125,000 from where we were before, I think was worth at least putting it on there. If you don't wanna do it, we won't do it.
And I can review it with our internal furniture people just to ask.
If we're gonna
if this is
move
reasonable.
furniture, then I would say some of that money will fall down into the moving and relocation line, because that's obviously a bigger endeavor. But I just thought it was worth talking about and just leaving it there for now. And if we take it out, and we throw it on the block, if we're that close, then we can certainly do that.
So what do you think? Do you wanna go forward to the select board and present them these 3 options, 2 of the options,
Absolutely.
All of them?
I don't feel that the third option is really an option, to be honest. I know that it's, but I don't think it's an option that we could present. Part of this whole project was combining and getting rid of that building. And I get that it's $2 million, and I don't mean to say for just $2 million, but I think if we're gonna go forward, we need to go with either the first or the second.
I think, like, at the subcommittee meeting, they literally said, you're not gonna get a COA for $2 million.
Right.
Right.
So, I just think, to present, we can show this is at the bare bones minimum, but here's, the middle option is really where we probably should be,
Right.
and the other one's a pipe dream at this point.
Well,
You know?
and
I guess I'm
That-
saying, I
that
hope
would
we're not,
be-
I hope we don't consider that third option.
Well,
because that's not
and that,
something
to your point, I think that's a question of how it's presented.
Mm.
But I completely agree with what you're saying in the sense that I think this is really your ammunition to say, and maybe we have to give a number for if you did a brand new senior center, or if this was its own project, what it would be 5 years down the road, and maybe we just spit a number at it. But you're not gonna get it for that,
Right.
ever.
Right, and you still have the potential of the rest of the building to develop.
So I don't think I agree with you in the sense of, I don't feel based on what the goals of the project is, that that's the most realistic path
Right.
forward. But I do think the number's valuable from the standpoint of ammunition to say, the gap you're at right now versus if we were to peel this out and do a separate project or even a separate building.
I just, one of the things that I thought about, was whether or not our first option, right, should really be reflective of the full abatement
Yeah.
of the building and the full window replacement of the building.
Which I can get that.
Because I
What is-
think honestly, that was really where we started. It was, we've never intended to piecemeal the abatement or the windows,
Right.
maybe not build it out,
Right.
but originally, I thought that was the intent. And we sort of peeled it back because we knew we were in a budget crunch right out of the gate.
So you want him to change that first
The top number.
with the 100% abatement and windows too? Doing the windows up there also?
Well, I think what you're gonna find is that the windows are part of the
They are
abatement.
part of
Oh,
the
yeah,
abatement.
that's true,
So
that's true, so that,
you're gonna have very large openings in the outside of the building.
Actually, that
And
was-
I already
But that
have,
would then give us future, because we're never gonna be able to abate that upper half if we don't.
because I already have
That's
the
what-
number for the windows.
Right.
That's 650,000, 652, basically. So I just need to get the abatement number.
652 to put windows in the rest of the building.
or is
The other
that, so
side.
that's just the other side?
That's
the
just
upper
the
stuff,
other
that's
side.
I meant the rest of the building,
Yes.
from where we're, from where,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
Yes.
So that would put the total windows.
Which, even if we were looking at, let's say it's, I can even look at a square footage number, but even if we were to say it's the same amount in terms of square footage, and abatement, we're looking at about 400,000 was I think it was 450 was the abatement number. So, worst case, we say that's how much that is on the other side. So we're looking at give or take $1 million
Mhm.
for just to get that part of it done.
Because if we're looking at 22, the whole building's 44, so half.
Yeah,
So it's the same price, so it right in the ballpark.
right. Yeah, we're right in the ballpark of $1 million to do that.
So we're thinking this is actually gonna be a 15.5.
Plus, yeah.
Instead of always kicking that can down the road, that was our biggest issue all the time.
So then it comes down
That's what got
to,
us here.
what'd you say?
That's what got us here.
Kicking it down the road.
So then what it comes down to is talking to the TA and finding out what money we have to help us with this project before we bring it to town. I'm aware of 2 million in the municipal building fund. we have free cash, I think it's $1 million, I can't remember, so that's,
You got those reversed.
do I? Free cash is 2 million and municipal is
That's the
1 million.
speculation, free cash should be $2 million, and there's
And
like 1.2 in the,
So we may be able to get 3 million from the town, which would drop this down to 12 million for everything, for the big one. Or 9 million. And then, I mean, it's up to the select board if they wanna go to the town and ask them to borrow. Anything else on these lovely numbers? So-
Okay, so I need education here. So once we say we decide to go with the full scope, right? And it goes out to bid, is that correct? Then all these parts go out to bid?
So if we get the okay from the town to spend the 15 million, let's
Yep,
say?
yep.
Once
Well-
we have the money, then we can go out to bid, yes. So this is also slowing us down.
So
Right.
I think the first thing that we need to do is present the options to the select board and ask them what their wishes are in terms of proceeding. Moving on to design development under the auspice of a budget, whether it be option 1, option 2, option 3, or something we haven't yet determined. So we can give direction to Tim's group to move forward with the design. That's step 1.
Yep.
Step 2 is depending on the level of funding that the town is committed to at this point, which I believe is through design and bidding, right? There would be an ask, presumably at Springtown meeting, for funding to move the project forward through construction.
I don't know, I think it's gonna be before
It would have to
town
be
meeting.
a
Special
special
town
town
It's gonna be a
meeting.
special town meeting, cause our Springtown meeting's not till, the first one's not till May.
That would put us that would put us into the middle of 2026 before we have
And we could get a special town meeting in place, let's see,
a March.
end of March.
Okay.
Cause
So,
we,
end of-
I mean, I guess it depends on,
End of March,
it depends on how
we-
quickly the select board.
end
makes a
of March,
decision.
we would not have bids in hand. We would be going based on an estimate. If we were to wait for full town meeting, theoretically, we may have bids in hand with a real number.
It
I
may
thought
be
we had
just a
to approve.
huge waste of time if the town votes it down.
True.
I don't know, so which way do you go?
Well, or you wait
Do you get-
long enough that when we have direction, we know essentially what the will of the select board in terms of the direction of the project. Do we go through essentially DD and do our second estimate, and that's the one we use for the number we ask for?
DD design and,
Design development.
Yeah.
I think with the information that we are presented here with, we need to move forward with a special town meeting. Let them be aware of the circumstances that surround the whole situation. We're between a rock and a hard spot. Where do you go?
we have to do something.
That was, you know what I'm saying?
And so Jen, the whole reason of potentially taking the COA out, which is not what anybody wants to do, is to get the municipal offices in there, because we're losing that building.
And I agree with that part of it.
But
I just, it goes to kicking that can.
so,
well, the other thing is with that $2 million, if we sell the building, that they're all in, and they put that towards it, I don't know what that value of that building is, but that, I'm saying that $2 million for a COA difference, that actually reduces
It
that.
reduces it
Right,
because we'd have the income
from that to go,
plus it would be on tax rolls. It would be tax rolls. Tax
So
rolls
now-
now.
So, our construction budget is here.
Yep.
This is what?
So that,
The delta between here and here accumulates to what? What is that gonna include? Just
Yeah,
off
it's
the-
on the last page.
yeah, it's on the
there.
last pages,
And,
that's the summary from Neil.
those little soft costs that Neil put together.
So Jim, that's our fee, design fee, decommissioning, miscellaneous expenses, things like construction testing, moving expenses, printing expenses, budget for legal fees,
So
as
we're-
well as
so you
furniture,
guys are
fixtures, and
charging-
equipment, and contingency.
And
Yeah,
so what percentage of that is contingency?
we did 5% of the, I'm sorry, 10% of the construction cost and 2% of soft costs.
Yeah, you can see that all at the bottom here. That next page.
So you're doing essentially a gut renovation of the existing building. So we would recommend, with any renovation project, that you go in at a minimum of 10% for contingency. And we've adjusted that each time the cost of construction changes, we've adjusted that down.
Yeah, I just did the math.
Yeah.
And it's not a whole hell of a lot.
It isn't, really.
And I wanted to make sure that you guys weren't charging us 28% soft costs. These are not soft costs. Not all soft costs.
Well,
Some of it's
it's all project costs other than construction.
right,
What
but some of
you
it's
call them,
but some of it's contingency.
Correct.
yeah, but I think you would be advised to expect
I get that. But
expenditure.
it doesn't,
Whether you expend it all is another story. But you can't expect it's gonna be zero. Or at least I can't expect it's gonna be zero.
no, I get that. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure when we say soft costs, it's.
Everything else.
it's-
Everything
else is
outside of
included. It's not
construction.
just your fees.
No, no,
because your fees.
no, 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 no.
No,
No.
it's everything. It's meant to be all inclusive, as close as we can get it.
Without going out to bid.
Yes.
So these could be high if the bids come in low.
It's always
It
possible.
could be low.
We're a half full, not half empty.
Sorry.
We try.
Yeah, so I guess,
Well, they could be low, but what are the chances of them being higher?
Well, I think the longer we wait, the higher those chances
I was
are.
gonna say, I'll tell you
That's what I'm
better in
thinking.
6 months.
Mhm.
Thinking the same thing, longer we wait.
I'm sorry,
The longer we
I think we're
wait,
just
the
watching
more.
costs increase.
I'm sorry, but it's not gonna get any cheaper.
No, I get that.
It's just gonna get more expensive. By how much is anyone's guess. But if we start seeing, to Tim's earlier point, if we start seeing tariffs imposed, and we start seeing lead times change on things that are driven by computers and things that are steel and things that are, backed by Chinese technology and et cetera, we're gonna get hammered, because it's gonna wind up extending the duration of the project.
Yeah.
Which is gonna hit you in all categories. GCs will charge you more for general conditions, and our fees will increase because the period of performance increases. So it is a very untenable position, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but unfortunately, it is what it is.
so I suppose the next step would be to the TA to find out when the select board meeting is, that we can present these numbers to.
Yeah, we're on that agenda already. I put us on there just so we were there.
Good job, Dale.
When's that? Next week?
The
No,
24th.
24th in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So March
No,
24th.
February
February.
24th.
Oh my gosh, I wrote down, okay, thank you.
I'm like March.
Next week is Martin Luther King.
And,
President's Day. President's
and
Day.
what time?
All I know is I have it all.
We're right.
I think we're 5:31.
Yeah, we're right. We strategically put it right at the beginning.
I put 5 o'clock on my phone so I don't forget it.
So, Tim and Neil, can you be there to answer questions? Presuming the select board will have questions.
Pulling up my calendar. I should be able to.
I'll be right behind you. Oh, it's a Monday night? Yeah, it
Yeah,
should
Monday
be okay.
night.
Yeah, nice.
No.
it would be beneficial to have you there.
I do too.
You said 5:30, right?
Yes, that'll be down at the
COA.
COA.
So then, Tim, just so I'm clear, you're gonna give me different numbers here for the
For
first,
the first number,
because you're gonna add in all of
the
it,
abatement and the windows.
right? The second number's gonna stay the same, and the third number's gonna stay the same. And,
And maybe if you break it off to the side too, cause then we can kind of
Yeah, I can
a la
put
carte
it-
that.
I can put it as an alternate next to this one.
if you don't wanna do full abatement,
Right.
we can do it for 14.4.
Right, I think in each of those columns, to be honest with you, because that way if they really. said
Include the
it's-
abatement and the
Oh,
window.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I can put a third column in there.
So each of them will have here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you wanna do all the windows in abatement, it's this.
Yep.
Yeah.
In each one of those three proposals.
Yeah.
Just a
Mhm.
plus whatever.
Yeah.
No, I like that idea.
Yeah, my only worry is just kicking that thing. I'd rather have the whole thing abated.
But again, like they said, costs are just gonna keep going up.
It's true.
I'm hoping that the select board will make a decision at that meeting. I don't wanna leave and not have a decision. That's what happened first time.
Well, I guess we can impress upon them that we really need to have a decision so we can move forward.
We have so many time constraints besides the
Right.
fact that project itself, pricing itself, and just getting everything in order. The longer delayed, it's just
And
increases.
Time is money in this case.
Yes.
It definitely is.
So maybe once they like correct it or add the numbers you're talking about, we can give it to the select board ahead of time
Yes,
and they can have reflections for us and
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
food for thought to ponder on.
Plus put a bug in the air about special town meeting. I guess again, that's something else that maybe we can talk about as a group. Do you wait, as Neil said, until May? Have the special town meeting then, when you won't have bids though, by May.
I'm not sure.
We might.
You're
It's
funny.
more a question of working with my team in terms of where the schedule's gonna land, cause we're kind of in a holding pattern
I was
right
gonna
now.
say, in fairness, the biggest thing we need to give to PDM is direction. Which way do we go? And then,
To release us, and essentially I'm gonna work with them to get the schedule as smooth as it can be, but still gotta rework the schedule on our end.
once the documents go out on the street for bidding, we need probably 45 days to get bids in hand. So. I
So
think
if you got told to keep moving forward on the 24th to get real numbers.
Yeah.
Then we should have that, if you're saying 45 days.
What's 45 days from?
I was gonna go kill.
It's 45 days from when the
From when it
documents
goes
go
out
out
to
on the
bid.
street till we get the numbers back from the contractors.
Oh, okay.
Right.
They're probably gonna need,
We're at least, based on our previous schedule, I would say from that date, 6 weeks.
From getting told to move forward.
Yeah, so assuming we
Two.
have direction
At
on
least.
2/24, we're at least 6 weeks out. to
Because
go
it
to
takes you
bid.
6 weeks to prepare the, whatever you need
6
to
weeks to
prepare.
go
Put
out
the
to bid.
documents together.
1,
Right.
2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6.
With
That
the
brings us to
documents.
April 7th.
That's the soonest,
And then
Right.
you're saying 45 days after.
and that's
that.
not without talking to my team. So,
Yes, yeah.
I'm just saying.
minimum of 5 weeks, more likely 6
1,
weeks.
2, 3, 4, 5. Well,
That'd be the second half of.
Yeah.
May 12th would be our special town meeting, so we would just, if we
Your
would
special,
have to lean on you to not
That's
take
the
your 6
It's the
weeks.
annual town meeting, sorry, not special.
Yeah, that's our annual, we'll put a special town meeting in it for this. So you don't get 6 weeks, Tim. Just saying.
Give you all the caffeine you want.
Find me a new hire.
Otherwise, so we'd have actual numbers to present at town meeting. And
Well,
because the select board will have made
you-
a
you-
decision,
I can tell you right now that assuming we have the
the other town meeting's in June.
select
So,
board direction, the time we're talking about, roughly the time frame that we have, that I've given you, at the very least, you're gonna have a second round of estimates by this point, by the 12th.
And those would be closer estimates?
Yes, because they're gonna be based off of essentially 60% construction documents at that point.
What was the, Lynn, what was the meeting that you mentioned in June?
Our annual town meeting.
The second half of
We had, we had to
We
do
have
it
two. We start it in May and then the budget is in June.
When in June is it? How far back, how,
This, it's June. Is it the second or, second week in June or third week? I don't know.
Oh, 4
Is it on your town website?
after our first?
It should be.
I can look it up.
I can look it up.
So hang on, even on the 24th, say the select board say, okay, aren't they gonna say to us too, but first it has to go before the people?
Yeah, but we can't,
So it's second week in June.
we can't bring it to the people until
It's gonna be June 10th, whatever that,
May.
around
So
there,
if you don't present,
in May,
if you don't present it in May, you have the opportunity to
to present it in
In
June.
June.
4
By
weeks
June,
later.
we probably have full numbers, right?
And by June, you'll definitely have
Yeah.
numbers in hand. I say definitely with a wink.
It's far more, let's put it this way, it's far more likely.
The other thing that I guess we have to express is the fact why this, the length of time, because that's what everybody's gonna ask. Why is it taking so long when, obviously we know we need so many weeks for this, so many weeks for that. I'm just,
Government.
I'm just talking about the regular town members are always saying, well, why can't we do this? And why did you guys sit on your tukish for so long? And it's- we didn't. We didn't. We
We met
at
every
meetings
week.
all the time. And we're creating this. I think that needs to be expressed too at whatever, just to say, we worked hard for this. We just didn't like, oh, we'll just wait on it, just wait on it. We didn't. And the numbers keep changing and we're pushing hard for all of us in this committee.
But I think it is something to point out that the numbers keep changing in an upward trajectory.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the thing is office still need to be, we still need offices.
Still need,
Mhm.
correct.
So that's option one, to wait until May or June to have more clear numbers or actual numbers. And to present to town meeting to get the approval or not approval. And if they say no, then we're done, we pay you guys, bye-bye. And we don't have municipal offices. Okay, second option is on the 24th, when we meet the select board says, we're going with option one, special town meeting next month.
Okay. Then we have estimates.
And that estimate can go up or down. And you're in a holding pattern until we get town approval, which is gonna push the dates
Right.
further. So, I mean, I know we have an extension on the annex, I'm pretty sure like, we have an extension, it's not gonna be past March.
No.
So there's a lot of moving parts.
I don't know, there was some talk if March is the deadline, well, maybe talking to Tim about having
Oh, the
certain parts
essential
of that
people.
building
Yeah, to be
Getting-
done.
completed so that we
Right,
can
so
get
they
those
move
people
them
in. and
in.
they-
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we'd work around them.
Right.
Yeah.
Which wasn't ideal, but it would be.
Right, but it's a.
You gotta do what we gotta do.
what you gotta
Right.
do.
Any questions? Yeah. All right, the next part on the agenda is the minutes from the 28th of January. So if you guys can take a look at them. Approve them.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from January 28th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks. And then, I'll hand the floor over to Micheline and Steve regarding the rural development fund grant and potential monies from our legislators. if anything's been done since we last talked. Which one are you gonna?
You finished reorganizing the letters, so go ahead.
Micheline and I both worked on a letter with the concerns of what we have. West Street School Committee consists of 7 individuals charged by the town select board. The West Street School building provides space, house all the apartments, da-da-da-da-da. And then, short and sweet, how big the building is and what our goals are for the future of the building, for the other section. All we need to do right now is, I was hoping, which, I don't know, with the information that we have today, presenting it to the necessary people to see if we can get grants or some funding from our legislators and our people in control of the money. That's all.
So we're just waiting to send it off to them?
Yeah, I mean, well,
So,
I'd like to hand deliver them. That's how I operate. I like to turn around and actually look at the person and say, here's our goals. Here's what we have. Here's what we have to this point. We are much further along than a lot of other towns have ever been. We do have a certain amount of money. Here's the amount of money that we have. We're looking for your assistance in order to provide funding, whatever we need.
Do you wanna invite them to a meeting, a
They-
walkthrough?
they want to, I had a,
Which, yeah, you
What's
did
his
have a
name?
conversation.
Gomez?
Gomez, thank you.
Yep.
I actually accidentally ran into him and he says, come sit down, and I chit chatted with him and he says, please, come, have us come to your meeting. And he's gonna notify Mindy, the other representative of Granby. And he said, please have us all come to the meeting, have us discuss it, walk through a building if you want us to. And he says, I can't wait to receive a letter of invite. He goes, this is a great project. I explained to him how it encompasses the whole town, not just one department. And I try to tell him what our future plan is, what our current and what we're trying to do and what we need. And he thinks it's a wonderful project for our town. And he is gung-ho for this. And he wants to, him personally, he wants to talk to Mindy to make sure they're on the same page so we can go forward with this. And his assistant she says, please reach out to me because she has history of grant writing. So she says, please reach out to her anytime for any assistance. I was also doing some research. That's why I was just a few minutes out here. So I went under what we were looking at. Remember, we're doing the community one-step growth for the grant. And one of the things is all we have to do right now is put in our expression of interest. And I asked who's in charge because I was told that we already had an application. We've already submitted as a member of this organization, and I have to contact Chris for that. And it does hit the rural development. When I was reading through the application portion, obviously we need the expression needs to be in by March 26th.
Okay.
It doesn't mean we won't get grant, but it's always better to put in our interest and write a letter. And there's the application on there. It's easy to fill out. And I was reviewing the application and then the project description, because they like, where do we land in this grant form? And we actually fall, when I read the whole thing, we actually fall under the building rehabilitation for belated or unutilized property. I believe, because when I read everything else, I'm like, oh, we don't fall in this, we don't fall in that. This is one we would fall into because it does rehab of property and construction. It deals with code compliance, building accessibility.
All that?
Yeah,
So
6 of them.
6 sets like this.
yes.
And chairs?
I don't know about the chairs.
Dang.
Take it
Yeah.
all. We'll take it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's an absolute.
that's why I'm like, don't forget other projects.
Well,
Well,
if granted, all those are farther away,
Yes.
but this year we're doing a bunch more renovation with them in New York. So none of it will match this.
Well,
doesn't
but-
matter.
it doesn't matter.
Another room.
Each office can be its own.
Unique.
Yeah.
Where's this coming from?
So this
Okay.
is coming from Pittsfield.
You got a big truck? Just checking.
So,
Where's it going?
Wait, you have,
it's going
Do
to
you have a
be
trail?
put in the
Yeah,
library?
we want that in our.
I don't know, I'll clean
I'm
the
not sure
trailer
where
out
we're gonna put
first.
it yet. I don't know if that's been determined, but some, either that,
Somewhere in West Street.
Yeah, somewhere in West Street.
probably West Street, yeah.
and it's the only place that'll fit that.
That's why you said the library, cause it's a larger space, just.
Media center.
Yeah, that,
And there's the.
This-
Is there no space in the old library though, the Carnegie Hall Library?
No.
Because it's being used.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
there's meetings and everything
we'll
being
keep
there,
an
so we
eye
don't have
out
space.
in terms of this particular client, because they've definitely been interested working with you. If any of their other branches we're working on have decent furniture, a lot of them are really old, where you probably
Yeah.
don't want it,
Right.
so. But this was, I think that furniture's like 20 years old and in pristine condition, so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So let's pick a date to meet next besides the select board meeting. And, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I mean, I know that we had originally said every Tuesday was when we were gonna meet. Whether it was the whole committee or subcommittee.
I don't think there's any real need to get together between now and the 24th.
I agree.
Yeah.
Unless, well,
Talk about
unless we get
it.
what
That's what-
Tim's numbers are only gonna be plus
Yeah, it's gonna add in another column.
another column to the, yeah.
And we're already aware of that and the
Um,
number change, so.
Perhaps then the subcommittee can meet before the 24th to discuss how we're gonna present this.
Mhm.
What'd you say?
Discuss presentation.
Yep.
Select board meetings at 5:30.
Yep, so, okay, February 24th at 5:30, and you're gonna hope that someone else can take your spot. Perfect. So as a whole committee, and we're all gonna be together on Monday.
On Monday the 24th, you're talking?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can,
Is there gonna be a quorum of this committee at the select board meeting?
everyone's gonna go.
Yeah.
Should probably post it jointly then.
Post it.
If we're not having a meeting though, we're a presenter, we're not having a meeting. Unless you want a meeting after after we get through with our
Well,
spiel.
just in case something comes up where the committee has to make a decision for some reason, if the board of selectmen says something, we're still covered that we're able to do what we need to do as a committee. I don't think it's gonna hurt. to
It
put
doesn't
one
hurt
in.
to post it.
At the West Street Building Committee is meeting at the select board meeting.
Jointly.
Jointly.
Yep.
Only because just in case something like, well, all of a sudden we pull off for like 5 minutes, oh, you guys make a decision really quick and then, even though it probably won't happen, but I just wanna get everything covered.
I think in order to debate anything that comes up.
Okay.
As a committee, it would have to be posted in public.
I guess I didn't think the committee was debating, it would be the select board who's debating. It's their meeting, they'd have to make a decision as to what they want our committee to continue to do. But I have no issue, I will post
I
it.
think it's more if they have questions or kickbacks to us, that would allow any of us to weigh in. Whereas otherwise, only one or two of us.
Okay.
So hang on, if residents show up there, can they ask questions also?
It's up to the select.
That's up
That's
to
up to
the
the
select
select
board.
board.
They control the meeting still.
And we already know that their meeting says you only can talk at a certain time,
3 minutes, citizen person.
but it's after, at a certain point in the meeting.
It's
Oh.
generally in the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
Unless they've changed it, I don't know.
Okay, do you wanna meet after the meeting?
I was gonna say, that would also allow us to meet after the meeting to discuss their decision.
Mhm.
Especially if it's a go, then we can
Yeah.
make more decisions and do stuff.
We're already there, we might as well.
Alright,
We may have to
Well,
relocate.
we have to
though.
relocate.
Oh, yeah,
but-
right,
Or
right.
come up here.
okay. So I'll say 6:30 without knowing, really what time, but 6:30, safety complex.
And then we can determine by there and figure out what other dates, if it's half full, so yes, the wants to move forward, so what other dates we can pick so we can keep flowing.
Well, hopefully we'll know, we'll know if they wanna go special town meeting or
Right.
regular town meeting, which will give them actual numbers, hopefully.
Mhm.
Why not just leave our meeting there?
because
Because
they're
their
having their
meeting will still be
meeting.
going on.
So how can we talk when
We
we talk?
can't, unless we go upstairs.
Well, that's what I was, that just popped in my
Yeah.
head too. Can we go upstairs?
I mean, we can always go sit on the floor
If
upstairs.
if it's a 5-minute meeting, it's gotta happen here.
I'm
If we're only
confused.
gonna discuss something for 5 minutes, that means we gotta come here, no matter what. If this is where it's being posted, we're there. What kind of decisions are we gonna, how long can you imagine that meeting going?
I don't know what's on their regular agenda.
No, he's saying
Our
our
meeting.
meeting, our meeting. So let's just meet in the back of the room
Yeah.
Or upstairs if
or
it were able
upstairs
to.
in TA's office.
Because
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
they got the table there, so
Rather than come all the way back
Mhm.
here.
Right.
For a
Yeah.
2-minute meeting.
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Someone might get lost from there to here. Sorry.
You never know.
You never know. I'm not saying the guys from here.
More than likely, it'll be around 6:15 then, not 6:30, but
Mhm.
I'll post it for 6:15. And if we're late, we're late. But if I put 6:30, we can't start till
Right.
6:30.
Mhm.
6 o'clock, 5:30. If we don't meet till 6 or 6:15, we're still covered.
He's right. Put it at 5:30, so it starts with a select board meeting.
Mhm.
Because that actually covers us to be able to speak
Right.
if they have questions. If you put it for 6, we're limited.
No,
to-
we were gonna post a joint meeting with the select board.
Oh, and then a private.
And a
meeting.
private meeting.
For us.
After.
Can you do that? Can you do 5:30 and 5:30? All right. Jim said so.
It's not a
Public, right, yeah,
But a non-joint.
yeah.
Yes.
That's what she meant. All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn. What just happened?
Something that we caught on this side and this side didn't catch it. I did try to
catch his.
Motion to adjourn, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.